Four of these stones, each of which has a name, were used by the sailors to test their strength by lifting them up and putting them on the natural platform back here somewhere. Now exactly which is the natural platform, I don't know. Whether it's up there, I doubt. Whether it's there, perhaps. Or whether it's up there, I don't know. Natural arch, whether it was created by naturally just by the lava flow, by water, no idea. Never saw the maze. It's over in here, but I thought that area was blocked off from the trail to Djupalonssand. Oh, my bad. This was the Saxholl farmstead. I assume this creek ran through in the day, and these walls were here. Maybe those are walls of buildings up there. I'll go take a quick look. All of them covered with moss and grass now, except for this pile of rock we'll take a quick look at. And there should be a crater here. Certainly these were walls, and they extend way down there and perhaps even along there. But this was a building of some sort, whether it was for sheep or outbuilding or home or not, I don't know. There was the entrance, but this could well be that classic foundation design that we've seen before. We'll go down and take a look at that other pile of rock down there. It's very lush soil here, at least the peat, I guess you'd have to call it, because it isn't really so much soil, although there's something for this grass to be growing in. So that's pretty rich in that sense, but it's very like a mattress, walking on a foam mattress. Big old pile of rocks, so it's not forming anything that I can see, but you can see how that wall of the pasture runs down and all along there. And then here, we're certainly looking at some kind of a building structure, or at least a paddock. You can see there's the outline there also. So here's substantial size wall, at least thickness wise, although you have to figure that a lot of the thickness is that the higher part of the wall is tumbled off like this. But here, something probably from an old engine, it looks like. Looks like it was an old engine. Cement posts. There also used to be a church here that was a signal point for travelers. One can only imagine, and wish we could, or read books about the stories of this place. Kind of like Cocktail Hour in Jackson Hole, that kind of story. Intimate about the life of the day. See, we're perched on a little bit of a hill here. There's some sheep over there in that field, and over there, I think, are swans. Could be geese, but I think they may be swans. I've seen them about. Nowhere have I seen a crater. However, I just noticed standing here a couple of things. One, there's a large walled structure there we'll take a look at. And here are a couple, I think a couple of smaller, look like could be cone-shaped walls or part of a structure. And then a further one up there on that point, if I'm guessing correctly. And then panning about further to where our sheeps are, there's the remains of a wall. So we'll go up and look at these structures and assume that if there's a crater, I ain't going to see it today. I'm guessing this was just a corral. However, that's a pretty substantial wall there. But it may have been necessary to be substantial to maybe provide some support for that outer wall, I don't know. difficult walking around in this stuff because it's very deceptive. It looks like it's just nice rolling foliage, but that foliage covers up gaps between the chunks of lava, and sometimes those gaps you can drop down into, and the lava rocks themselves roll when you step on them, even though they're under the grass. And not to add too fine a point on it, these posts, which I thought might have been markers, are not. They're old fence lines, and all along them the remains of barbed wire, so you have to watch that too. I'm going to walk up and take a look at that one there. It's kind of as I thought. These look like they were originally cone-shaped, but they're quite small, quite discreet, as you can see. What was down in there, I don't know. I'm assuming that's another one of the same. I'm guessing that they're probably some kind of a storage spot, like a granary or something like that. Maybe they were able to put mud in between heavy chunks of stone to keep something out, but I don't think there are any mice here to keep out. So I don't understand for sure what these two little places would have been for. Walking on this moss is like walking on very fine wool carpeting and thick wool carpeting, except that it's booby-trapped. And to the left of that big rock is that large enclosure we saw. There are the two and that third one. And here's still fourth small one. Notice the size of those rocks. Something was kept in here of significance. And here below us is another, either a room or a paddock or something down in here. Here another structure, but I think it's probably a corral because it's such a considerable slope for a home. But there's the entrance down there. Interesting to know what the motivations were of the family that came here. Were they just the leading edge of a continually out-moving perimeter of mankind settling this part of Iceland? Were they in search of something they could call their own? Same reason that the early Americans left Europe. It certainly is a thick, lush grass, although built on hillocks, if you will, or on chunks of this lava and in between them. But certainly, because of the sheep around here right now, it would appear to be quite fertile, in at least Icelandic terms. I don't know where this picture was taken because I don't see any hill like that one. I was wandering right down there on Saxholl Homestead looking for the crater. It was sitting up here north of it a little bit farther, laughing at me. I think what's interesting about this crater is not the crater itself, just a hole in the ground, but the fact of where it is relative to that mountain. So take a look. So it's down at the base, as we would call it now, on what is the flats, but it's not the only crater. Out there you can see the remains of a crater. Those are probably two little mini volcanoes. You can see the land rises from here up to there, at least it appears to from my vantage point. So how far out does this volcanic activity occur? What's the limit of its access to the surface? Look in that direction, which is north, you may be able to make out, now I'll go with the telephoto so you definitely will, that should be Westford. We should be up there probably tomorrow afternoon after I take the ferry. Unless for some reason I drive around. Interesting also is it looks like that far side of the crater has been blown out. Now maybe it's just eroded naturally for some reason, or maybe for some reason that's one of the ways the lava went last 4,000 years. It's interesting to remember that that's probably when the Egyptians were first starting to settle along the Nile, probably 1,000 years before the first pharaoh began his reign. An interesting set of stairs, and expensive to make, I would think, relatively speaking. But the stair treads are only about 4 to 5 inches in height. It's easy for anybody to come up here if you take your time, even smokers.